Welcome back to STL Live. I'm Sarah Bernard. I'm here with Kathy Osborn and Mary Ostafi. We've been talking about the St. Louis, the Regional Business Council and the grants that are provided to the community that you started 3 years ago. And Mary, your organization, Urban Harvest STL, was the recipient in, was it the first year of the grants? Is that right? Mm-hmm. So how did you learn about these grants back then 3 years ago?
I believe that I first learned about the RBC grant through Downtown St. Louis, formerly Partnership for Downtown St. Louis.
Yes. Yes. And what was the grant application process like for you? Do you remember going back?
It was actually the very first grant that I wrote. We were a startup nonprofit at the time, and I'm very thankful for the simplicity. It was an online platform. They made it super easy and accessible, especially to, people who are startups like myself.
So what were you looking for? You asked for a grant to do what exactly?
We were looking for capital to build a farm on top of a downtown rooftop. So we were very fortunate to be awarded $10,000 by the Regional Business Council, and the RBC was actually our first grantor. Yeah. So they kind of gave us the ability to catapult from, having a conceptual project to
so reality. At that point, there was no farm.
There was no farm.
It was on paper.
It was on paper. We had started designing it, and but it wasn't a real project. And they really just helped give us the confidence to keep moving forward. They, took a chance on a startup and a small community project.
And then what kind of follow-up have you done since then with the Regional Business Council?
We've been in touch with the Regional Business Council all along, particularly because the project kind of came and went. As with any, startup project, there were a lot of barriers that we had to overcome, and the RBC was extremely flexible and patient with us. So, yeah.
We have a process where it's easy to apply, but in order to receive the grant, then we have to do some due diligence to make sure it's a legitimate 501c3 or attached to government or something of that sort. And then we have a follow-up process. One of the funders of the grant, Michael Steinberg, is a developer, and developers are the ultimate risk takers. And so it really appealed to him and a number of members in the community, this sort of idea of doing something interesting in downtown. But some of the grants will really break your heart. We gave some money to a food pantry, very well established. Food was coming in, the need was great, and the refrigerators, one at a time, went out. And so they needed 3 refrigerators. Relatively simple thing for us to honor. We got them the money for the refrigerators. They were so grateful. It sort of changed their whole perspective that somebody they didn't know cared enough to give them something that to them was a really big obstacle. They didn't know how to get those refrigerators. And they've been a friend ever since. We really feel strongly about those kinds of needs.
So it sounds like you all become connected with these organizations emotionally as well.
Yes.
And so over the course of the 3 years since you started this fund, and the applications for this year have closed, but you're already looking ahead to next year, how have you seen the growth happen with the number of applications, the types of applications?
Sure. Well, the need is great. So from an RBC perspective, we fund things in a variety of ways. This is one of those. United Way is another. We have another thing called Social Venture Partners, where we put our funds. So this is one piece of it. What we like about this piece is it's typically organizations that run under the radar screen. That is something that will fulfill great need and allow them to serve more people, but they don't have the donor base in order to do this. And so we feel like we're really enabling people who are working really at the street grassroots level to try to do some things.
And are you studying, and this might be a big undertaking, but studying how the organizations take this little seed money and then grow and expand within the community?
We haven't as yet, but what we do, though, another kind of due diligence part of this is people will often ask for things that maybe involve hiring people to do it. We also come in and make sure that they're getting the right price. Is there a cheaper way to do it? Can we get something done free for them that they would have had to pay for? So there's another whole aspect into making sure this is really a good use of their funds. And often we'll challenge them, say, hey, we'll give you 5, but you've got to find the other 5. Well, nobody's ever come back and said we didn't find the other 5. Because I think it helps them to say the Regional Business Council is going to invest.
Absolutely.
And frankly, our brand, I think, is powerful. People know that we only invest in things that we think are important. And so they can kind of use that. Then I assume that's something you'll be able to do is say, you got a startup grant, and you'll be able to use that with some other funders.
Yeah, so Mary, this was the first grant that you ever received for your organization. And how has it given your organization confidence, and how have you used it to get other additional funding along the way?
Well, I think exactly what Kathy said. It gave us the confidence to keep moving forward, first of all, and we were able to say that we've been backed by the RBC, and that, you know, holds a lot of weight in the community. You're talking to other foundations and partners. That's really meaningful to them.
Yeah, that's great. Kathy, we had
Yes.
applications.
Yeah.
How many received 190 this year?
Yeah.
So you're going through the process of reading all of those.
We are.
How many people read those applications?
We have a committee of 10 people, and the other thing that happens in the process is we'll allocate and discuss what's the fair allocation for, and we'll allocate about $100,000. But sometimes members on the committee speak up and say, wait a minute, stop a second. I really like those other three that we did prioritize the first round. I'll go ahead and fund that myself.
Okay.
So last year, that was a wonderful surprise when individuals on the committee spoke up and said, you know what, I'll tell you what, if you all put in this, I'll pay for the rest of it.
Yeah.
So we were able to do more than the $100,000 that we had allocated.
Yeah, that's neat. Sounds like a great committee of people.
Well, it really is. You know, again, our whole culture at RBC is action. And we particularly want to reach people that are most in need and where we can really see we can make a difference with our money.
So for next year, applications start when?
They start in May through June, and then they closed, and then we do notifications in October. So people who applied this year will hear in October.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is interesting. We'll have to have you come back and let us know about some of the other organizations that you are giving money to. It's great for our community. There's more information on the Small Change Big Impact Grants at stlrbc.org. We have STL Live after this. Stay with us.